guys, Luka here, and welcome to another FIFA 20 ratings predictions video. And today I'm going to be taking a look at Real Madrid's potential ratings for FIFA 20, which is now only 20 days away as well. And hopefully we might even get the web up maybe 1 or 2 days before EA access as well. But I'm so much looking forward to FIFA 20, guys. I'm ready for it. I obviously played the beta as well, which got a bit boring in them because the gameplay was just so slow and stuff like that. But I was excited by, again, a lot of the menu content, a lot of the season's objectives, and I just can't wait to get involved with all that stuff and use the new icons as well in FIFA 20 and give you guys loads of reviews again. I'm missing doing reviews on the channel at the moment, but we will be back for it, and I am really looking forward to it. But for now, guys, we have to remain doing these types of videos, which I don't mind doing, to be quite honest. But obviously, you know, I think everyone just wants to get stuck in now and play some FIFA, to be quite honest, with the seasons all in Europe underway and stuff. But yeah, we're going to have a look at Real Madrid in this video. I've got 13 players. I have had to miss a couple off the list. Ones that probably won't start too many games for Real this season. So, for example, I haven't included their new signing Mendy. I haven't included Militao because I don't think they're going to get a lot of games this season. I think they're definitely the long-term future replacements for a lot of players at Real Madrid. But for this current season, I don't think they're going to get quite a lot of game time. But yeah, so I missed a few of them off the list just to save the video from being too long. But anyway, guys, let's get into the first player. It is going to be the Galactico signing Eden Hazard. Now, of course, the La Liga transfer window is still open, as are all the other European transfer windows are open, I believe, till September 1st. Obviously, the Premier League window has closed, but clubs from Europe can still buy players from the Premier League. Could Real potentially still sign Christian Eriksen? I think there's a reasonable chance that they could do so. I think they're probably still looking at Neymar as well, but we'll just have to wait and see on that. But as of now, Eden Hazard, in my opinion, is the only true Galactico signing for Real. I think Jovic, Militao, Mendy are great signings for the future, and I think Jovic will get quite a few game times this season as well, to be honest. But you can't say that they're world-class players. They're far from that at the moment. They're good players, but they're not world-class. That's the thing that we've got to try and say here. Eden Hazard is world-class. 52 games last season, 21 goals, 17 assists as of today as well. Just earlier in the UEFA Europa League group stage draw, he was voted as the best player in the Europa League last season, which is obviously, you know, it's still a big competition, and you know, he was obviously able to help Chelsea get to the Carabao Cup final, winning the Europa League, finishing 4th in the Premier League as well. He was fantastic last season for Chelsea, there's no question about it. A top player, very good for Real to be able to sign him. Obviously injured at the moment, but when he does get going for Real Madrid, I think Real are going to look decent. I don't think they're going to be quite as good as Atletico and Barca, but I think over the next few seasons, they're going to really start to get on form. I think for the league this season, you might kind of struggle in it, but try and prioritize the Copa del Rey, try and prioritize the Champions League a little bit more, and the league just work towards to start to introduce those young kids over the next few seasons. Let Hazard get a little bit more settled, and then I think Real are going to eventually, in the next season or two, become a real top force once again. But yeah, I've gone with a 91 to a 92 rating for Hazard. He will get an increase, there's no question about that. You could even argue for him to go to a 93 rated, but I've not quite gone with that yet. I think if you give him a 93 rated, you might have to give Neymar a 93 rated as well, because a lot of people say that Neymar is a better player than Hazard. I don't know. I think you could arguably say that Hazard's probably the third best player in the world right now. I think honestly you could really say that. But yeah, I have gone with the 92 rated with him just for now. The second player is going to be Sergio Ramos, and I have actually gone with a decrease on him, going from a 91 to a 90. You know, let me just be clear here. He's still a top defender. There's no question about that. But last season, Real conceded way too many goals in the league, which is obviously for why they finished in third place in La Liga, which is not good for them whatsoever. He played 42 games for them last season. He did get 11 goals, which was still pretty awesome. 2 assists as well. All those stats, by the way, are from all stats in all competitions, not just La Liga, but in Europe, in domestic cups and stuff like that as well. But yeah, you know, I think that he isn't quite settled at Real at the moment. There was obviously, not long after the season had ended, he held a press conference or something like that, saying that he was thinking of leaving the club, and then Florentino Perez said that he wasn't leaving the club and stuff. It's just, I don't think he really... I think he has a lot of love for Real, obviously, since he came from Sevilla. He's been such a prominent figure for them and, you know, has helped them win some big cups over the years. But I think we're going to see his last season for Sergio Ramos. I think it's well known now that it'll be his last season with him for the club. I think Militao has been brought in to be the long-term replacement for him over the next season or so. But yeah, I think based on where they finished last season through some of their poor defensive performances, some of the goals that they conceded, I think Ramos was at fault for some of them, and I think as a result of that, we will see a decrease on his rating. The next player we're going to have a look at is going to be Thibaut Courtois. I've gone with a 90 rated down to an 88 rated. When I watched him in the Premier League, I thought he was one of the best Premier League goalkeepers that I ever saw. You know, if I had to give my list of top 5 Premier League goalkeepers, you'd have Van der Sar in there, you'd have Petr Cech, you would have, obviously, Courtois that I just mentioned, David De Gea, and let me just throw another one into the pot. Alisson, just because Liverpool, why not? But no, yes, seriously, he's a fantastic goalkeeper. I didn't watch him too much at Real last season, but again, 10 clean sheets in 35 games. You know, listen, it's better than what any of us could do watching this video, but from a big, massive signing for Real Madrid, it isn't a good return. And yes, you can't just blame it solely on Thibaut Courtois, but he clearly wasn't the most favoured goalkeeper at Real because Keylor Navas quite easily was getting quite a few starts ahead of him last season as well. But yeah, I think based on sort of we don't know exactly who's number one. I think Courtois still is the number one goalkeeper overall, but Keylor Navas is more than a good enough goalkeeper, let's be quite honest. And I think, again, this season, Keylor Navas is going to try to rival and try and get as many games as he potentially can as well. I just don't think Courtois is 100% like the solely number one goalkeeper. It's not like set in stone for him yet. And I think based on that as well, we will see a little decrease on his rating as well. The next player we'll have a look at is going to be another one of their new signings, Luka Jovic. I've gone from an 80 rated to an 84 rated, and I'm very, very excited about this player. I think he's a top young talent, and someone that I do expect to start quite a few games for them this season. Yes, Benzema was good last season, and also Benzema had a good start to this season. Jovic hasn't scored yet. I believe he's made a couple substitute appearances, but I think as well, he's another of that. He will eventually replace Benzema in the next season or so. I think what Florentino Perez and Real Madrid are planning to do is to have I think they want to try and bring Neymar to the club and potentially have an attack of Jovic, Vinicius Junior and Neymar in some type of way or something like that. I don't think Real plan to really have Benzema and Jovic starting in the same team too much. I think it's just that Jovic is eventually going to be the replacement for Real. That's what I think will happen eventually. But anyway, 48 games last season and 27 goals and 7 assists with Frankfurt in a pretty decent Europa League campaign. Obviously doing well in the Bundesliga as well, and he was a big part of their very good season. And I think he's the top player. Very, very talented, and I just can't wait to see him get like a few more game time in the Liga this season. And I don't think we'll see him go to like an 85 or 86. I think that's too early. Yes, I think there's still, yes, he had a good season and stuff, but I think we still need to kind of not get too carried away with his rating. But I think something like an 84, with the massive transfer fee involved for such a young player as well, I think we'll see him get like a decent rating at around an 84, something like that. The next player we're going to have a look at is going to be Casemiro. 43 games of him last season, 4 goals, 1 assist. 4 goals actually from his position in 43 games this season is pretty awesome. And I think I'm right in saying that he scored like a bicycle kick against Atletico as well in the Madrid derby. I might be wrong in saying that, but I don't think Casemiro did a lot wrong last season. I actually like the guy. I think he's the top player once again for Real Madrid. I think he will keep his 88 rated card from last season. I've gone with a few differences. Obviously, in his stats, I've gone with shooting going up by a little bit because of the 4 goals from his positions, a decent return. But I've also just gone for his defending down by 1 again because he is a CDM player that's kind of part of trying to help out the defense. And obviously, Real, as I mentioned before, conceded quite a few goals last season. Had a few poor defensive performances as well in domestic cups, in the league, and also in the Champions League as well. So I think on the whole, though, I think he's still a top player. I think he will retain an 88 rated card, but with a few little switches in his stats. Moving along, though, to an attacker in Vinicius Junior. 36 games last season, 7 goals, 13 assists. In my opinion, a good first season for him at Real. I don't really think you can complain too much about him. I think that a lot of expectation and pressure was put onto Vinicius when he originally signed for Real last season. He was seen as like the new wonder kid and stuff like that. And I think to get 20 goal contributions in 36 games is good, and I think he was also battling with injury quite a bit last season, so I think it'll be interesting to see what he can do hopefully in an injury-free season this season. I think that, I've gone with an 18 passing increase because he had 64 passing last season. That's going to be well increased. I have also gone from a 77 to an 83 rated card. I think he deserves that in my opinion. I think he's a very, very talented player. I think he's going to be the future of Real. I think Real still probably wants to try and get Neymar involved somewhere in the team and stuff. I think Florentino Perez, as I mentioned before, really really wants Neymar at Real, but potentially Neymar could be going back to Barcelona. We don't know yet, but I think Vinicius has done more than enough last season to be able to get a nice little upgrade too. I think he definitely deserves it, and it will be interesting to see as well what he can do this season. The next player is going to be Raphael Varane. I kept his rating, to be honest. I don't think he was as bad as Ramos last season. I think he's a quality player, to be honest. Varane, for the most part, 43 games this season, 2 goals, 0 assists. You will say, well, hold on a minute, he scored 9 less goals than Ramos last season, and probably actually kind of looking at that now, maybe he also deserves a bit of a decrease at the same time, but it was just known last season that, Ramos, there's so much more expected from Ramos than what there is, in my opinion, anyway. There's a lot more expected from Ramos than what there is from Varane. But I think Varane deserves a physicality increase. I think he is a very, very strong player. He's not easy to get past for the most part, so I think he deserves to be increased there. I think, again, some people could argue for him to get a decrease in rating, and yeah, maybe you could say that, but I don't know. I think it's that, Ramos just doesn't deserve to hold a 91 rated card. I think Varane is good enough to hold an 86. Yes, there were a few kind of difficult defensive performances last season, but I still think he's good enough to hold an 86 rated walkout card, for example. I don't think he's terrible or anything like that, but yeah, that is the rating that I've decided to keep for Varane. Another player retaining their rating is going to be Luka Modric. I think he will keep a 91 rated. Again, just didn't do enough last season. I thought their midfield was a little bit poor for the most part last season. I just don't think he's done enough to at all get anything higher than that. I don't think he was bad enough to get lower than that. 46 games this season, 4 goals, 8 assists, 12 goal contributions in 46 games. Not too bad from a central midfielder. I'll go on with a passing increase because he's a fantastic passer of the ball, Luka Modric. The way that he passes the ball around, switches playing the midfield, tries to start attacks off. Just fantastic when you watch his passing. But I have gone with a 2 shooting decrease though, because although 12 goal contributions in 46 games isn't too bad, I think maybe he should be getting a few more than just 4 goals in 46 games. But having said that, I still think he's a phenomenal player. I still think he is world class. I think he definitely deserves to have that world class tag still attached to him. There's no doubt about that. But a few people could argue again for him to be decreased to a 90, but not for me. I think he hasn't done too much wrong in the central part of midfield. I think it would be better if he could get maybe involved in a few more attacking plays and get even maybe a few more goals next season. But for the most part, I keep him at a 91 rated card. Moving along into the next one, it's going to be Carvajal. I think this is the 3rd player in a row now that's actually, in my opinion, going to retain a rating, and that being of retaining an 85 rated card. 37 games this season, 1 goal. Yeah, that's not too bad for a fullback. 6 assists isn't too bad either. I'll go with a passing increase based on his assists from last season. Also just bumping up his physicality a little bit as well. I don't think his position's under threat whatsoever. I think he's a solid right back for Real, and there isn't that much more to say about Carvajal, to be quite honest. But we're going to move along into Toni Kroos next. I have gone with a decrease on him. 43 games last season. Imagine 43 goals for Toni Kroos. 43 games last season, 1 goal. That's such a poor return for Toni Kroos. 6 assists as well. Yeah, he could probably do with maybe getting a little bit more than 6 assists in all competitions. I'm based certainly on his lack of goals. I have gone with a decrease on that, and just a general decrease all round. I just don't think he was fantastic. I read about it looking online. It was well reported that he didn't do too well for Real Madrid last season. Actually hasn't started this season off too bad. I think he's looked pretty decent. I watched him against Celta Vigo where he put in a good performance, but I think it was a poor season from Kroos last season. He's been a bit of a weird player for Real. He's been good at some times. He's also been poor at some other times. But I think we'll definitely see a decrease on him. And then we're moving along to Karim Benzema. Finally, a player that actually gets a rating increase, going from an 85 to an 87. Last season, with CR7 not being at the club, Benzema had one of his best seasons in years. 53 games, 30 goals, 11 assists. He's just revived his career at Real. He's been absolutely fantastic. And he started this season off well as well. 2 games and 2 goals, scoring in both games against Celta Vigo and against Real Valladolid. And I think he's a fantastic player in really, really good form. I think he's underrated as well. Yes, I was critical of him in the past as well when he was with CR7 and stuff. But last season, he was just amazing for them. And it looks to be he's going to continue the exact same form this season. So for me, definitely a rating increase for Karim Benzema. Moving along into the penultimate player, it is going to be Gareth Bale. I have gone with a 2 rating decrease for him. 42 games this season, 14 goals, 7 assists. Very close to that move from China. Already, actually, despite what's gone on, he's already played 1 or 2 games for Real this season, which is pretty interesting. But I think he will get a rating decrease just because, yes, he got 20 goal contributions in 42 games, but I think we expect more from Gareth Bale. You know, when you talk about that massive transfer fee, you know, you expect him to get more. Maybe being a bit too critical here, but I personally expect him to get more than 20 goal contributions in 42 games. Certainly expect him to get more assists in that time as well. And I just think under the relationship with Zidane as well, I don't think he's going to overall get too many games for Real. And I think as a result of that, we'll just see a decrease on rating purely because of that. And then moving into the final player is going to be Marcelo. I have also gone with a rating decrease on him from an 88 to an 87. 34 games last season. Not a lot. He was dreadful for Real apparently last season for a lot of reports that I heard. There was a very, very young player. I can't remember his name right now. If you're a Real Madrid fan, you'll know this. There was a very, very young player who was actually put into the starting 11 for quite a few games ahead of Marcelo. And Marcelo was just dropped because he simply just wasn't playing good enough. 3 goals, 6 assists last season. 6 assists isn't too bad to be fair. But yeah, I think, you know, he was poor last season. He doesn't want to be at the club. You know, it's been well known again that he wants to leave. He wants to be with CR7 at Juventus ideally. Could potentially move as well before the end of the window, but yeah, again, you know, a player that's going to eventually be replaced by Mendy in the next few seasons as well. But anyway, guys, that is going to finish up this player ratings for this video. It's been quite a long video, but hopefully you have still enjoyed this, and I'm going to hopefully try and give you guys maybe a couple more of these before the start of FIFA 20. But anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.